11 Alive is getting you ready to head back to school.
I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to teach, I want to guide kids because that's what I really loved to do when I was a child.
After years of learning during a pandemic, now getting test scores up is the focus.
There are a lot of children still struggling, and if we don't continue to rally around them, those struggles aren't going to go away.
But is AI the answer?
There's a useful place for it, but we don't want it to replace genuine teaching and learning.
And as some districts see a rise in violence in the classrooms, we sit down with the superintendent in the state's largest school district to see what they're doing to keep students safe.
The reality is that our schools are the safest place for our students.
It's time to head back to class.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Cheryl Preheim. Heading back to school is an exciting time. Here at 11 Alive, we want to help set students and parents up for a successful year. Heading into the 2023-2024 year, there is a focus on kids catching up. The pandemic resulted in lost learning. There are now efforts to help kids get back on track, but it comes with its own struggles. It's why right now researchers at Georgia State University have launched a study to help school districts support your students. The college is using a nearly $2 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education to help repair damage done by the pandemic. They're focused on recovery efforts in Clayton, DeKalb, and Fulton counties. Federal grants for some pandemic-related programs are about to run out. The study will help guide where school districts should focus funding in the future. So where do we go from here? 11 Alive investigator Zach Merchant sat down with Gwinnett County School Superintendent to find out what's being done to help your child.
It is no secret that for students and their families, the pandemic years took a toll.
When you look at the data now, are you worried about these kids?
Yes.
Tim Sass is a professor at GSU who researches COVID's impact on student performance. His latest project examined data from Clayton, DeKalb, and Fulton counties.
We've seen really significant reductions in student achievement growth on the order of several months of learning.
In Gwinnett County, the percentage of test takers scoring at a proficient or higher level in English and math dropped 2 by about 10 percentage points between 2019 and 2021, according to data from the Governor's Office of Student Achievement.
It's concerning, and given the circumstances under which we were operating, it doesn't surprise me.
But for Gwinnett County Schools Superintendent Calvin Watts, the data also shows signs of hope. Scores rebounded somewhat in 2022, as Watts says his district focused on staff recruitment and emphasized teaching fundamentals.
That means that if I'm supposed to be in 3rd grade and I'm supposed to be able to read on grade level, then ideally we're going to focus our attention to make sure that you understand what it means to read.
For Watts, he hopes the scores are a sign of a trend that will continue, and the new school year a fresh start as they begin to move past the pandemic.
This year really feels like a sense of normalcy.
In Gwinnett County, Zach Merchant, 11 Alive News.
During our time with Gwinnett Superintendent, we asked another important question: what's being done to keep our students safe? Over the past 5 years, the district reported more than 300 incidents of terroristic threats, almost 500 incidents of felony weapons. For Superintendent Calvin Watts, he stands by the county's dedication to safety.
And our goal is to make sure that we have a preventative measure, that we also hold students and adults accountable. The reality is that our schools are the safest place for our students.
Part of the new safety plan for Gwinnett County Schools includes some new technology. A crisis alert system is now installed in all 142 schools. The goal is to help teachers and staff get medical or emergency help through a small wearable device. But it's already gaining criticism after teachers in different parts of the country have accidentally triggered lockdowns. Here's 11 Alive's Brittany Kleinpeter to walk you through the technology.
Imagine collapsing, unable to call 911.
It gives them a greater ability to summons help when they need it for like a medical emergency.
Or living through the unthinkable.
If they see a significant violent incident, they can put the school into a hard lockdown.
This little device is designed to empower educators to be prepared for all of it.
I see it being extremely beneficial for providing greater safety and security for our students, our faculty, our staff.
In an age where anything can happen. And it's quickly taking over districts across the state.
Cover over 70% of the K-12 public schools in the state of Georgia.
Gwinnett County Schools is just the latest district to implement the technology, equipping its over 22,000 employees with the wearable device.
Every employee will get one of these badges, regardless of whether you're a teacher or administrator. And it has the capability to pin your exact location, regardless of where you are.
With more users, the technology has created more opportunities for false alerts. A Cobb County employee triggered a district-wide lockdown last year, and this spring, Fulton County experienced 2 school lockdowns after an employee accidentally pressed their badge too many times.
We have different training programs that we have provided to districts that enable staff to practice the button pushes.
And just like with anything in education, officials realize
And it's going to be a learning curve.
but say they're excited to get another supply for the classroom. Reporting in Gwinnett County, Brittany Kleinpeter, 11 Alive News.
For some parents, the new school year comes with new grief. In the last decade, even before COVID-19, the country has seen a 57% increase in the suicide rate among young people. But for 16-year-old Azaria White's family, her story is not just part of a statistic. Azaria was a sophomore at a public school in Atlanta. Her mother, Lenita Ruggless, says Azaria had a hard time at school before they made the decision to switch her to virtual learning this past January. It wasn't until after Azaria's death that Lenita found harassing messages in the history on her daughter's phone. Now she wants to warn other parents.
Please be aware of social media. There are so many ones that I wasn't aware of.
Experts say there are signs to watch for: depression, anxiety, avoiding certain spaces, lower self-esteem, and any self-harm. If you think your child's struggling with thoughts of suicide, there's always help. You can call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. The U.S. Surgeon General is warning about the impacts of social media on your child's mental health. Social media use by young people is nearly universal. Up to 95% of 13 to 17-year-olds say they use it. More than a third saying they use it almost constantly. Childhood and adolescence represents a critical stage in brain development. Mental health experts say it makes young people more vulnerable. It's why health officials are sounding a warning and calling for lawmakers to take urgent action to protect young people to harmful online messaging. In the meantime, experts are offering some tips for parents to cut down on kids' use. First, establish tech-free zones in your home. They create space to foster in-person relationships. Next, teach kids about responsible online behavior. And more importantly, you should model that behavior. And third, report problematic content and activity you see. Coming up, ChatGPT seems to be everywhere, maybe even on your child's computer. Teachers are trying to figure out how artificial intelligence plays a role in the classroom. We'll share what it means for your kids' homework assignments. Cheating or a new tool? Almost 90% of surveyed students admit they are using artificial intelligence for schoolwork. It's the unknown for many, causing some questions and concerns. ChatGPT is a chatbot that uses a already published and public information outlet to create answers to your questions. But there's a catch. Most of that knowledge comes from data gathered before September of 2021. Here's a major concern. The chatbot can write school essays, legal documents, and even software. And now teachers are trying to figure out how artificial intelligence plays a role in the classroom. 11 Alive's Jerry Carnes has more, including what is and is not allowed.
In this ever-changing world of technology, this 8th grader is proving her genuine love for Taylor Swift with the help of an artificial mind. in an effort to score concert tickets.
Help me convince my mom.
Annie turned to the ChatGPT feature on Snapchat after explaining what she wanted and why.
And it were like, name 2 points why you want to go. Taylor Swift is more than just a pop star.
Annie went to her parents armed with a convincing letter created by ChatGPT.
It took like 3 seconds, like it just chatted it right back. She's a role model who has taught me about resilience, hit all the big points about why I would want to go, and I think it's very convincing.
Students all over the world are having a hard time saying no to the lure of ChatGPT. Just ask and it will provide ideas for an essay on Ernest Hemingway.
Explore Hemingway's complex personal life.
Students who let ChatGPT do all the work risk a failing grade.
There's a useful place for it, but we don't want it to replace genuine teaching and learning.
Derek Wilson is the Dean of Technology at Greater Atlanta Christian. He's helping students and teachers here make good use of ChatGPT, while at the same time cautioning students.
What is and isn't plagiarism? What if I'm using it to generate ideas? Or what if I'm using it to help me outline the paper, but I write it? And again, those are conversations that need to happen with the teacher.
DeKalb and Fulton County have blocked ChatGPT on student devices while at school. Gwinnett County has warned students that if they use ChatGPT, they have to cite it as a source and will be held accountable if the information is wrong. Accuracy is an issue. Ask ChatGPT and it will acknowledge it doesn't know everything.
Please note that my knowledge is based on information available up until September 2021. And I may not have access to recent data or events that have occurred after that time.
And it doesn't have a lot of fact-checking built into it.
Jesse Bachstedt is a professor of information systems at Emory University. He says students need to know ChatGPT will provide answers even when it doesn't know the answer.
If you ask it to write a paper and to give citations, it will produce citations, but those citations are often just completely made up.
Meanwhile, our 8th grader is playing it safe. Annie was upfront with her mom about the author of that Taylor Swift letter, and
she was sold, yeah, because here I am. We're going in Paris.
Her family has tickets to next spring's concert in Paris. No word on whether Annie's artificially intelligent friend will be joining them.
As we change how our children are educated, we're also seeing a familiar problem: vacancies in key positions in Metro Atlanta school districts. You can see that in Fulton, Clayton, and DeKalb. They're dealing with openings in the hundreds. It includes teachers, paraprofessionals, and bus drivers. In DeKalb, officials were able to tell us the number of voluntary resignations is definitely more than usual. As for Fulton County and Atlanta Public Schools, 11 Alive's Joe Ripley digs into why some jobs are in short supply.
Just trying to sort the books.
Maya Mahone prepares for a fresh start to the school year, her first year after graduating from Georgia State University.
I've always loved school. I've always been the kid that wanted to go to school, that cried when I missed school. I've always wanted my birthdays to be at school, so I always knew that I loved going to school.
The Kimberly Elementary School 3rd grade teacher comes from a family of educators and has a heart for education.
How our mental works, it affects everything that we're doing, everything in which we're learning, how we're teaching. So I really want my children to feel good and feel excited when they come into the classroom.
Mahone recognizes the burnout in education as some school districts struggle to staff classrooms. She also understands the stress it puts on her and other teachers. Atlanta Public Schools says it wants to hire 23 more teachers, 32 bus drivers, and 10 more school resource officers.
We have kids that are looking for someone who can instill hope in them.
Nicole Lawson, Chief Human Resource Officer for APS, credits hiring success to competitive pay, listening to current teachers, and considering their needs.
So you don't have to recruit and hire if you retain your teachers. So focusing on well-being. We have Zen rooms within our schools. We have increased our support as it relates to counseling. And we also added wellness days in our calendar.
Fulton County Schools lost more than 1,000 teachers over the summer. It currently has around 90 teaching vacancies. The district still needs about 100 bus drivers and 9 school resource officers. Fulton County Schools HR Chief Gonzalo LaCava says potential teachers can use their degrees in other areas, and bus drivers can work for companies that pay more and come with less stress. He says a supportive culture and the right incentives help in a competitive market.
We invest in teachers plenty, so at the end of the day, if we lose them, we're losing a huge investment. They're walking out the door.
Maya Mahone is just walking in the door, marking a new chapter, prepared for the road ahead.
Education has always built me, raised me, and taught me that education is what gets me to where I wanted to go.
In Atlanta, Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
Next, more families are choosing homeschooling, why they say it's the best choice. some students, heading back to school will be very convenient. They just need to walk into the next room. The popularity of homeschooling has grown after the COVID-19 pandemic. The Georgia Department of Education reports about 59,000 homeschoolers in 2015. By 2022, that number was 91,000. Now, Frederick Douglass Bussey homeschools his own 3 kids. They're going into 1st, 3rd, and 7th grades.
A number of factors I think that we looked at when it came to homeschooling our kids. A couple of those were the hectic nature, mental health for children. I think that there is a tendency for us to program or condition children to believe that you have to get up and you have to be going full speed all day long.
Georgia officials expect about 100,000 students to homeschool this year. For some, learning at home is the best. For others, learning with a little extra support is better. Faith Jesse introduces us to a rising senior finding his own way to success.
When you find yourself. Johnny Hickey is headed to senior year. Well, he and Alberta, his bearded dragon.
Is that your good side, Albert?
His mom, Linda, by his side.
Oh, you went to the nail salon already? I did go to the nail salon.
On his journey to getting his high school diploma.
Johnny's actually been in public school since he's been 3.
Johnny has a superpower called autism. And back to school prep means finding the right rhythm.
We have chorus, algebra, flex, all kinds of things. He has different teachers every year.
His favorite teacher?
Coach Latson.
Coach Latson.
Johnny, oh my God, what a big kid. Like, I love you, dude.
Working with Johnny on academics and social skills starts with an individualized educational plan.
And so every student with disabilities has one in the school, and that's where we set their accommodations and things. And, I've had students that needed a therapy dog.
Or in Johnny's case, a therapy bearded dragon.
If 20 kids are asleep, Johnny's the one awake, raising his hand and answering questions. A lot of the students have their disabilities. Yes, they have an area that they struggle with, but there's also some things that they're really good at.
My favorite subject in school is music.
You start to sense. For Johnny, that's music and theater.
I got my trophy. I got an award. You did? It's called Rookie of the Year. You got Rookie of the Year.
And his t-shirt business, with an important message for everyone as they head into the new school year.
This is Be Kind. It does.
Still to come, how you can prepare now if you're looking to save on college.
A new school year is here. We excited? Yeah! 11 Alive wants to help local students with the rising cost of school supplies, but we need your help.
Join our back to school supply drive by scanning the code on your screen to donate.
Help us have a great start this year.
It is the perfect time to start thinking about next steps. If college is in your child's future, it's not too soon to consider applications and how you'll pay for it. An Atlanta public school counselor says taking advantage of state scholarships is key.
The Hope Scholarship, this year, we are very happy that the legislature made some changes. If students graduate with a core GPA of a 3.0 or better, then 100% of their tuition is covered.
She also says think about MATE, M standing for Find Your Major, A, Academic Profile, T, Test Scores, and E, Extracurricular Activities as you're filling out those applications. For many parents, paying for their children's school meals is difficult. This year, once again, school meals will be free for all children from low-income families who qualify under federal income guidelines. The free meals are possible again because the state extended the COVID-era free meals for one more school year. That comes at a cost of more than $6 million. But what will happen next year? State Representative Imani Barnes of DeKalb County has introduced a bill to provide free meals always to all children K through 12 whose families qualify under the federal income guidelines. We wish everybody a happy first day of school and a lot of luck during the upcoming new school year. We have covered a lot of ground in 30 minutes, but don't worry, everything we've covered is on 11alive.com right now. You can text back to school to 404-885-7600. We have a link to everything you need to know. Thanks so much for joining us.